In the small, quiet town of Pine Ridge, where the nights were long and the stars seemed closer than anywhere else, a young man named Daniel Carter spent most of his evenings at the local observatory. The observatory was an old, weathered building, perched on the edge of a hill, its dome glinting faintly under the moonlight. Daniel had always been fascinated by the sky. From the time he was a child, he would lie on the grass in his backyard, staring up at the constellations and imagining what might be out there beyond Earth. Now, as an astronomer, he finally had the tools to search for answers. On this particular night, the air was crisp and the sky was clear, perfect for stargazing. Daniel adjusted the telescope, pointing it toward a distant star cluster that had recently caught his attention. He wasn't sure what he was looking for, perhaps a new exoplanet or some anomaly in the data, but he felt a strange pull, like something important was waiting to be discovered. As he fine-tuned the focus, a flicker of light appeared on the monitor connected to the telescope. At first, he thought it was interference, maybe a glitch in the equipment, but when he replayed the recording, he realized it was something else entirely. The signal was faint but unmistakable, repeating in rhythmic bursts. It wasn't random noise. It carried patterns, like a code or a message. Daniel's heart raced as he leaned closer to the screen. He had heard about signals like this before. Scientists often debated whether they could be evidence of intelligent life beyond Earth, but he never imagined he'd encounter one himself. His hands trembled slightly as he saved the data and called Laura Bennett, a colleague who specialized in linguistics and cryptography. Laura lived just a few miles away, and she arrived within the hour, her curly brown hair tied back in a messy bun and a notebook tucked under her arm. She was sharp and quick-witted, with a knack for solving puzzles that left others scratching their heads. When Daniel explained what he had found, her eyes lit up with excitement. Together they began analyzing the signal, breaking it down into smaller segments to decipher its meaning. Hours passed as they worked, their energy fueled by cups of coffee and the thrill of discovery. Finally, they managed to isolate part of the message. To their astonishment, it contained fragments of Earth's wildlife documentaries, clips of lions prowling through the savannah, dolphins leaping through waves, and birds migrating across vast distances. The images were grainy and distorted, but there was no mistaking their origin. Someone or something had intercepted these broadcasts and woven them into the signal. "This is incredible," Laura said, her voice tinged with disbelief. "But why would they send this back to us, and how did they even get these clips?" Daniel shook his head. "I don't know. Maybe they're trying to communicate, but we're missing the bigger picture. These aren't just random scenes. They're showing us our planet's wildlife. It's like they're saying, 'We've seen this. What does it mean?'" The two decided to share their findings with Dr. Matthew Hayes, an astrophysicist who had dedicated his career to studying extraterrestrial life. Dr. Hayes was known for his unconventional theories, but he also had a reputation for being thorough and open-minded. When Daniel and Laura showed him the data, his expression shifted from curiosity to concern. "These aliens didn't just intercept our broadcasts," Dr. Hayes said after a moment of silence. "They misinterpreted them. Look at the context. They paired these clips with symbols and gestures that suggest reverence. They think we control nature. They think we're gods." Laura frowned. "That's impossible. We don't have that kind of power over animals or ecosystems. If anything, we're the ones messing things up." "Exactly," Dr. Hayes replied. "But they don't know that. All they see are these images of lions hunting, dolphins playing, and birds flying in perfect formation. To them, it probably looks like we're orchestrating everything, like we're all-powerful beings who command the natural world." The implications weighed heavily on the trio. If the aliens truly believed humanity was divine, what would happen when they came to Earth? Would they arrive peacefully, seeking guidance and wisdom? Or would they demand answers, expecting humans to perform miracles? As the days turned into weeks, the team continued to study the signal, searching for any clues that might reveal more about the aliens' intentions. Meanwhile, rumors of their discovery began to spread. Journalists camped outside the observatory, eager for a scoop, while conspiracy theorists speculated about government cover-ups and secret experiments. Daniel tried to ignore the chaos, focusing instead on the task at hand. He knew they were standing on the brink of something monumental, something that could change the course of human history. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, and the stars emerged one by one, Daniel stepped outside to clear his mind. The cool breeze brushed against his face, carrying with it the scent of pine trees. He gazed up at the sky, wondering what the aliens were thinking as they watched Earth from afar. Did they see beauty in the blue oceans and green forests? Did they feel hope, knowing that another civilization existed somewhere out there? Or did they feel fear, believing they were dealing with omnipotent beings capable of shaping reality itself? Whatever the truth was, Daniel knew one thing for certain. Humanity was about to face a challenge unlike any other. The aliens weren't just observers, they were believers, convinced that Earth's inhabitants held the secrets to life itself. And now, it was up to people like Daniel, Laura, and Dr. Hayes to figure out how to respond without shattering the fragile illusion. As he stood there, lost in thought, Daniel couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and dread. The universe was vast and mysterious, full of wonders and dangers alike. But for the first time in his life, he felt truly connected to it, not as a passive observer but as a participant in a story far greater than himself. Months passed after the discovery of the mysterious signal, and life in Pine Ridge began to return to normal, or at least as normal as it could be under the circumstances. Daniel Carter, Laura Bennett, and Dr. Matthew Hayes continued their work at the observatory, analyzing every detail of the alien transmission. They sent reports to government agencies and scientific organizations, but no one seemed to know how to respond. The world was caught between skepticism and fear, unsure whether the aliens posed a threat or an opportunity. Then one morning everything changed. A massive spacecraft descended into Earth's orbit, its arrival announced by a sudden surge of light in the sky. The ship was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting sunlight in dazzling patterns that shifted and danced. It didn't attack or communicate directly. Instead, it simply hovered above the planet, scanning the surface with beams of light that moved slowly and deliberately, almost reverently. News of the ship spread quickly, sparking both panic and wonder. People gathered in streets and parks, staring up at the sky with a mix of awe and apprehension. Governments scrambled to respond, deploying satellites and drones to monitor the vessel, but the aliens remained silent. Instead, they began broadcasting images back to Earth, scenes from their own world. These images showed a barren landscape, devoid of color or life, save for towering structures that resembled temples carved from stone. In one particularly striking image, thousands of alien figures knelt before a projection of Earth's blue oceans and lush forests, their bodies bowed low in what appeared to be worship. Laura noticed something peculiar about the aliens' behavior. "They're not just observing us," she told Daniel one evening as they reviewed the footage. "They're imitating us." She pointed out how the aliens mimicked gestures seen in Earth's wildlife documentaries. Some raised their limbs skyward like elephants trumpeting, while others crouched low like wolves submitting to an alpha. Their movements were fluid and deliberate, almost ritualistic. Daniel nodded thoughtfully. "It's like they're trying to honor us. To them, we're not just intelligent beings. We're divine." The realization sent a chill down his spine. If the aliens truly believed humanity was godlike, what would happen when they made contact? Would they come seeking guidance, expecting humans to perform miracles? Or would they demand answers, refusing to accept that Earth's inhabitants were far from perfect? As the days went on, the pressure mounted. World leaders convened emergency meetings debating how to handle the situation. Some argued for a show of force, fearing the aliens might be hostile despite their peaceful demeanor. Others advocated for diplomacy, believing that open communication was the only way to avoid conflict. Amid the chaos, Daniel and Laura were invited to join a team tasked with making first contact. Leading the mission was Commander Rachel Stone, a no-nonsense military officer with a deep respect for science and a reputation for keeping her cool under pressure. Commander Stone wasted no time assembling the team. alongside Daniel and Laura, were experts in biology, linguistics, and engineering, each chosen for their ability to adapt to the unknown. The group spent weeks preparing, running simulations and practicing scenarios in case things went wrong. Despite their efforts, none of them felt fully ready. How could they prepare for something so unprecedented? Finally, the day of contact arrived. The aliens extended an invitation, or at least that's what the team interpreted from the series of symbols and gestures broadcast to Earth. Using advanced technology provided by the military, the humans were transported aboard the alien vessel via a beam of energy that enveloped them in a warm, tingling sensation. When they materialized inside the ship, they found themselves in a vast chamber that resembled a cathedral. The walls glowed softly, pulsing with light that matched the rhythm of a gentle hum filling the air. The alien stood before them, tall and slender, with translucent skin that shimmered in hues of green and gold. Their eyes were large and luminous, exuding a sense of calm reverence. At the center of the group was a figure slightly taller than the rest, adorned with intricate markings that glowed faintly. This, the team assumed, was their leader. Commander Stone stepped forward cautiously, her hands raised in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. The lead alien tilted its head, studying her with an intensity that made her feel both small and significant. Then it bowed deeply, its movements graceful and deliberate. Through a translator device developed by Laura, the alien spoke in a voice that resonated like wind chimes. "You are the creators," it said, its words translated into English through the device. "You command the beasts of your world. You shape the skies and seas. We have watched your teachings and learned of your greatness." The room fell silent as the weight of the statement sank in. Daniel exchanged a worried glance with Laura. The aliens weren't just curious, they were convinced that humanity wielded divine power over nature, and now they had come to pay tribute. Before anyone could respond, the aliens presented offerings, crystals that glowed with an otherworldly light. They explained that these artifacts were meant to honor the divine architects of Earth. The humans accepted the gifts hesitantly, unsure of how to correct the misunderstanding without offending their hosts. As the meeting continued, the team struggled to navigate the delicate balance between maintaining the illusion of divinity and avoiding outright deception. Commander Stone emphasized the importance of fostering goodwill, urging the team to focus on building trust rather than revealing the truth too soon. For now, they would play along, hoping to find a way to gently guide the aliens toward a more accurate understanding of humanity's role in the universe. Back on Earth, news of the encounter sparked a global debate. Some celebrated the idea of being deified by an advanced civilization, while others warned of the dangers of perpetuating the lie. Protests erupted in cities around the world, with people divided over whether to embrace the aliens' reverence or confront them with the harsh realities of human imperfection. Despite the turmoil, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that this moment held the potential for something extraordinary. The aliens weren't just visitors, they were seekers, looking to Earth for inspiration and hope. And though humanity might not be gods, perhaps they could still offer something valuable. Lessons in resilience, creativity, and the enduring spirit of exploration. As he stared out at the stars that night, Daniel allowed himself a small smile. Whatever challenges lay ahead, one thing was certain. The universe was far stranger and more beautiful than he had ever imagined. And for the first time, humanity wasn't alone in it. After the initial meeting aboard the alien spacecraft, the humans returned to Earth with a mix of emotions: awe, confusion, and a growing sense of responsibility. The aliens had treated them with reverence, bowing deeply and presenting glowing crystals as offerings. Their gestures were unmistakably reverent, but the weight of their belief in humanity's divinity weighed heavily on Daniel Carter, Laura Bennett, and Commander Rachel Stone. They knew they couldn't keep up the illusion forever, but revealing the truth too soon could shatter the fragile trust they had built. Back at the observatory, the team gathered to discuss their next steps. Dr. Matthew Hayes joined them, his expression serious as he reviewed the footage from the encounter. "They're not just curious," he said, leaning back in his chair. "They see us as saviors, If we tell them we're not gods, they might lose faith in us entirely. Laura nodded, her brow furrowed in thought. But if we keep pretending, we risk leading them down the same path that ruined their planet. We can't let them think destruction is part of being divine. Daniel stared at the table, his mind racing. What if we use this opportunity to teach them? Instead of outright saying we're not gods, we can show them how we've learned to live alongside nature. Maybe they'll understand that balance is more important than control. Commander Stone crossed her arms, considering the idea. It's risky, but it might work. If we frame it as sharing knowledge rather than admitting we're flawed, we can maintain their respect while guiding them toward sustainability. The team agreed to move forward with the plan, but they knew it wouldn't be easy. Crafting a message that balanced honesty with diplomacy required careful thought. Over the next few weeks, they worked tirelessly, collaborating with scientists, ecologists, and educators to create educational broadcasts for the aliens. These broadcasts focused on Earth's ecosystems, showing how different species coexisted and how humans were learning to reduce their impact on the environment. They included footage of conservation efforts, renewable energy projects, and community-led initiatives to protect wildlife. Meanwhile, the aliens continued their observations from orbit, sending images and symbols that suggested they were eager to learn more. They mimicked human gestures and incorporated elements of Earth's culture into their rituals, further solidifying their belief in humanity's divine status. In one transmission, they showed a ceremony where groups of aliens knelt before projections of Earth's landscapes, chanting melodies that echoed like wind through trees. As the broadcast began reaching the alien vessel, the team monitored their reactions closely. At first, the aliens seemed confused, perhaps unsure how to reconcile these lessons with their perception of humanity as all-powerful beings. But slowly their behavior shifted. They started replicating sustainable practices shown in the videos, planting vegetation in barren areas of their planet, and constructing structures designed to harness solar energy. It was clear they were trying to emulate what they saw, even if they didn't fully understand it yet. Despite the progress, tensions on Earth continued to rise. Some people embraced the newfound adoration, seeing it as an opportunity to elevate humanity's status in the universe. Others feared the consequences of perpetuating the lie, warning that it could lead to disaster if the aliens ever discovered the truth. Protests erupted in cities around the world, with demonstrators holding signs that read, "We are not gods," and "Tell them the truth." Governments struggled to maintain order, torn between managing public opinion and preparing for whatever might come next. Amid the chaos, Daniel and Laura worked late into the night, refining their messages and analyzing data from the alien transmissions. One evening, as they pored over a series of symbols sent by the aliens, Laura noticed something unusual. Hidden within the patterns was a question, one that revealed the depth of the aliens' desperation. "They're asking how we healed our planet," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "They think we fixed everything after ruining it." Daniel leaned closer, his heart sinking as he realized the implications. The aliens' homeworld had once been teeming with life, much like Earth, but centuries of neglect had left it barren and desolate. Now they looked to humanity not just as creators but as restorers, beings who could teach them how to bring their planet back to life. "This changes everything," Daniel said quietly. "If they're counting on us to save their world, we can't keep hiding behind half-truths. Sooner or later they'll realize we're not perfect. We make mistakes just like they did." Laura sighed, rubbing her temples, but telling them the truth isn't enough. "We have to show them that healing takes time and effort. It's not about magic or miracles. It's about learning and adapting." The two decided to craft a new message, one that would address the aliens' question directly. They explained that Earth's ecosystems had suffered greatly due to human actions, but that people were working hard to repair the damage. They emphasized the importance of patience, cooperation, and humility, urging the aliens to take small steps rather than expecting immediate results. When the message was sent, the team waited anxiously for a response. Days passed without any sign of acknowledgement, and doubts began to creep in. Had they gone too far? Would the aliens feel betrayed by the revelation that humanity wasn't infallible? Then, one night, the aliens broadcast a new image, a vast, expansive land dotted with patches of green. In the foreground, alien figures worked together, planting seeds and building structures inspired by Earth's designs. Accompanying the image was a single symbol, translated by Laura's device as gratitude. Relief washed over the team as they realized the aliens hadn't rejected their message. Instead, they had embraced it, using the knowledge shared by humanity to begin rebuilding their world. Though the process would take years, or even decades, the aliens seemed determined to follow Earth's example. As Daniel watched the footage, he felt a glimmer of hope. Humanity might not be gods, but they had something just as valuable to offer: experience. By sharing their struggles and successes, they had given the aliens a chance to heal their planet and avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. Commander Stone entered the room, her face lighting up when she saw the image on the screen. "Looks like they're starting to get it," she said, her tone lighter than usual. "Maybe we don't need to be perfect to make a difference." Laura smiled faintly. "Maybe all we need is honesty, and a little faith in ourselves." For the first time since the aliens' arrival, the team allowed themselves to relax, if only for a moment. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, but they had taken the first step toward a partnership based on mutual respect and understanding. And in a universe filled with unknowns, that was something worth celebrating. As weeks turned into months, the relationship between humanity and the aliens deepened. The broadcast sent from Earth continued to guide the aliens in their efforts to restore their barren planet. In return, the aliens shared glimpses of their progress, images of budding ecosystems, newly planted forests, and rivers that once ran dry, now flowing with water. Their gratitude was evident in every transmission, expressed through symbols and gestures that mirrored those seen in Earth's wildlife documentaries. It was clear they viewed humanity not just as teachers, but as partners in their journey toward renewal. Daniel Carter spent most of his time at the observatory, working alongside Laura Bennett to refine the messages sent to the aliens. They focused on practical advice, teaching the aliens how to manage resources sustainably and build communities that worked in harmony with nature. At the same time, they carefully avoided reinforcing the idea that humans were divine beings. Instead, they emphasized concepts like teamwork, patience, and resilience. "We're showing them we're flawed," Daniel told Laura one evening as they reviewed a new set of alien transmissions. "But maybe that's okay. Maybe they can learn more from our mistakes than from any illusion of perfection." Laura nodded, her eyes fixed on the screen displaying an image of alien figures tending to rows of plants. "They're already starting to see us differently. Look at this. They're adapting faster than we expected. It's like they're taking our lessons and making them their own." The aliens' rapid progress was both inspiring and humbling. Their homeworld, once a lifeless wasteland, was slowly transforming into a place of hope. Rivers carved through dusty plains, carrying water to parched lands. Trees sprouted where none had grown for centuries, their leaves shimmering faintly under the alien sun. And in the skies above, strange bird-like creatures began to appear, drawn by the promise of renewed habitats. It was as if the planet itself was awakening, responding to the care and effort of its inhabitants. Back on Earth, public opinion remained divided. Some celebrated the partnership with the aliens, hailing it as a historic moment of unity and cooperation. Others grew increasingly uneasy, fearing the consequences of maintaining the illusion of divinity. Protests continued in major cities, with demonstrators calling for transparency. Journalists pressed government officials for answers, demanding to know whether humanity was exploiting the aliens' beliefs for its own benefit. Commander Rachel Stone found herself at the center of the controversy. As the leader of the team tasked with managing First Contact, she faced intense scrutiny from both the media and political leaders. During a press conference held in Washington, D.C., she addressed the growing concerns head-on. Standing behind a podium, her expression calm but firm, she spoke directly to the crowd. "We are not gods," she said, her voice steady, "and we have never claimed to be. What we are is a species willing to share knowledge and work together. The aliens see us as guides because of a misunderstanding, yes. But instead of correcting them outright, we've chosen to focus on what truly matters, helping them rebuild their world. Her words sparked heated debates, but they also resonated with many who believed in the value of collaboration over confrontation. Slowly, public sentiment began to shift. People started to see the aliens not as worshippers but as allies, united by a common goal of survival and renewal. Meanwhile, Daniel and Laura made another discovery that changed everything. While analyzing the aliens' transmissions, they uncovered fragments of their history, images and symbols that told the story of their downfall. Centuries ago, the aliens' planet had been vibrant and thriving, much like Earth. But as their civilization advanced, they prioritized industrial growth over environmental preservation. Forests were cleared, oceans polluted, and wildlife driven to extinction. By the time they realized the cost of their actions, it was too late. Their world had become uninhabitable, forcing them to rely on technology to survive. They destroyed their planet the same way we're destroying ours, Laura said, her voice heavy with emotion. That's why they looked to us for answers. They thought we'd already solved the problems they couldn't fix. Daniel stared at the images on the screen, his mind racing. If they knew how close we are to making the same mistakes, would they still look up to us, or would they lose hope? The realization weighed heavily on the team. Humanity wasn't far removed from the path that had led the aliens to ruin. Climate change, deforestation, and pollution continued to threaten Earth's ecosystems, despite growing awareness of the need for action. The irony wasn't lost on anyone, that the species the aliens revered was teetering on the brink of disaster. Determined to turn the situation into an opportunity, the team decided to share more of Earth's struggles with the aliens. They crafted a series of broadcasts that highlighted humanity's ongoing battle against environmental destruction. Footage of oil spills, melting glaciers, and wildfires was paired with stories of individuals and communities fighting to protect the planet. The message was clear. Earth wasn't perfect, but its people were trying to do better. When the broadcasts reached the alien vessel, the response was immediate. The aliens sent back images of their own efforts, now infused with a sense of urgency. They began implementing stricter measures to conserve resources, using technology inspired by Earth's renewable energy systems. They also introduced rituals designed to honor their planet's recovery, blending elements of human culture with their own traditions. One day, a delegation of aliens arrived on Earth, transported via the same beam of energy that had brought the humans aboard their ship months earlier. They landed in a remote desert where a team led by Commander Stone awaited them. The aliens carried offerings, crystals glowing brighter than ever before, and presented them with gestures of gratitude. Through the translator device, their leader spoke. "You have shown us the way," it said, its melodic voice resonating across the barren landscape. "You have taught us that even broken worlds can heal. For this, we thank you." Commander Stone bowed slightly, her expression solemn. "We're grateful for your trust, but remember, we're still learning ourselves. Together, we can find solutions, not just for your world, but for ours as well." The meeting marked a turning point in the relationship between the two species. No longer content to simply observe or imitate, the aliens began actively collaborating with humanity. Scientists from both sides exchanged knowledge, sharing innovations in agriculture, engineering, and medicine. The aliens' advanced technology proved invaluable in addressing some of Earth's most pressing challenges, while humanity's creativity and adaptability inspired the aliens to think beyond traditional methods. As the partnership grew stronger, so did the bonds between individuals. Daniel formed a close friendship with one of the alien delegates, a figure whose shimmering skin glowed softly in shades of blue and silver. Though communication was limited to gestures and translated phrases, they found ways to connect, sharing drawings, music, and moments of quiet reflection. Laura, meanwhile, worked closely with a group of alien researchers, teaching them about Earth's biodiversity and learning about the unique species that had once thrived on their planet. Despite the progress, doubts lingered. Some feared that The alliance was built on a fragile foundation, one that could crumble if the aliens ever discovered the full extent of humanity's flaws. Others worried that the aliens might grow disillusioned when they realized healing their planet would take far longer than expected. But for now, the partnership endured, fueled by mutual respect and a shared commitment to the future. One evening, as Daniel stood outside the observatory, gazing up at the stars, he felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. The universe was vast and unpredictable, filled with wonders and dangers alike. Yet amid the chaos there was hope, a chance for two species to come together, not as gods and followers, but as equals striving for a better tomorrow. "Maybe we don't have all the answers," he said softly, more to himself than anyone else. "But maybe we don't need to. All we need is the courage to keep trying." As the months turned into years, the bond between humanity and the aliens grew stronger. The partnership had evolved from a fragile misunderstanding into a genuine alliance, one that brought benefits to both sides. The aliens continued their efforts to heal their planet, guided by the lessons they learned from Earth. At the same time, humanity gained access to advanced alien technology, which helped address some of its most pressing environmental challenges. Together, the two species worked toward a common goal, creating a future where life could thrive on both worlds. Daniel Carter and Laura Bennett became key figures in this collaboration, spending much of their time coordinating projects between human and alien teams. They traveled frequently, visiting research facilities and restoration sites on Earth as well as aboard the alien spacecraft. Their work was demanding, but it was also deeply rewarding. Every breakthrough, whether it was a new method for purifying water or a way to revive extinct plant species, felt like a step forward not just for one planet, but for all of existence. The aliens, too, played an active role in the partnership. Their leaders often joined meetings with Earth's scientists and policymakers, sharing insights and proposing solutions. Though their communication was still limited to gestures and translated phrases, their actions spoke volumes. They approached every task with a sense of purpose, determined to honor the knowledge humanity had shared with them. One day, Daniel stood at the edge of a vast desert that had once been barren, but was now blooming with greenery. Alien workers moved methodically across the landscape, planting rows of trees and installing solar panels to power irrigation systems. Nearby, human engineers worked alongside them, teaching techniques for conserving water and preventing soil erosion. It was a scene that would have seemed impossible just a few years earlier, a testament to what could be achieved when two species set aside differences and focused on a shared vision. Laura joined him, her face glowing with pride as she surveyed the progress. "It's amazing, isn't it?" she said, her voice soft but full of emotion. "We started with a lie, but look at what we've built." Daniel nodded, his eyes scanning the horizon. They didn't need gods, they needed partners, and so did we. The realization struck him deeply. Humanity had been given a rare opportunity, not just to help another civilization, but to reflect on its own path. The aliens' mistakes served as a mirror reminding people of the consequences of unchecked greed and neglect. Slowly but surely, attitudes on Earth began to shift. Governments invested more in renewable energy, corporations adopted sustainable practices, and communities came together to protect natural habitats. The changes weren't perfect, but they were a start. Back at the observatory, Dr. Matthew Hayes watched the developments with cautious optimism. He had always believed in the potential for cooperation between species, but he knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Even as the partnership flourished, challenges remained. Some humans still resented the resources being devoted to aiding the aliens, while others feared the long-term implications of such close collaboration. And though the aliens appeared content with their progress, there was no guarantee they wouldn't feel betrayed if they ever discovered the truth about humanity's imperfections. One evening, as the team gathered to review recent data, Commander Rachel Stone addressed these concerns. "We can't control how the aliens will react if they learn everything," she said, her tone steady but firm. but we can control how we move forward. If we keep focusing on honesty and transparency, we give them and ourselves the best chance at success." Her words resonated with everyone in the room. Over time, the team had come to understand that perfection wasn't the goal. What mattered most was the effort, the willingness to listen, adapt, and grow. By embracing vulnerability, they had forged a connection that transcended language and culture. The aliens, for their part, seemed to grasp this concept intuitively. Their rituals, once centered around reverence for humanity's supposed divinity, shifted to celebrate cooperation and resilience. In one ceremony broadcast to Earth, thousands of alien figures gathered beneath a glowing crystal structure, chanting melodies that echoed through the air. Images of Earth's landscapes and wildlife were projected onto the walls, blending seamlessly with depictions of their own planet's recovery. It was a tribute not to gods, but to the power of unity. As the years passed, the partnership expanded beyond environmental restoration. Scientists from both species collaborated on medical research, developing treatments for diseases that had long plagued humanity. Engineers designed spacecraft capable of traveling farther into the universe, opening up possibilities for exploration and discovery. Artists exchanged ideas, creating works that combined human creativity with alien ingenuity. The cultural exchange enriched both civilizations, fostering a deeper understanding of each other's values and traditions. Daniel often thought about how far they had come since that first night at the observatory. What had begun as a faint signal from the stars had grown into something far greater, a bridge between worlds, built on trust and mutual respect. He sometimes wondered what the future held. Would the alliance endure? Could humanity and the aliens continue to learn from each other, even as their needs and priorities evolved? One evening, as he stood outside the observatory gazing at the sky, Laura joined him. She carried a tablet displaying the latest images from the aliens' homeworld, a lush valley teeming with life, surrounded by towering mountains dusted with snow. "Look at this," she said, holding the device out for him to see. "They're calling it their new beginning." Daniel smiled, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. "It's beautiful," he said, "and it's proof that change is possible, even after everything seems lost." Laura nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Do you think they'll ever realize we're not gods? That we're just people?" "I don't know," Daniel admitted. "But maybe it doesn't matter anymore. They've already seen who we really are, not perfect, but trying, and maybe that's enough." The two stood in silence, watching as the first stars appeared in the twilight sky. Somewhere among those distant lights was the aliens' world, place that had once been dead but was now alive again, thanks to the efforts of two species working together. It was a reminder that even in the vastness of the universe, connections could be forged, bonds could be strengthened, and hope could take root. For Daniel, the journey had been transformative. He had started as a young astronomer searching for answers in the stars, but he had found something far more meaningful, a sense of purpose. Humanity might not be gods, but it had proven capable of greatness, not through power or control, but through compassion and collaboration. As the night deepened and the stars grew brighter, Daniel allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. The universe was unpredictable, filled with mysteries that might never be fully understood. But amid the uncertainty, one thing was clear: life, in all its forms, was worth fighting for. And whether on Earth or among the stars, the greatest achievements were those born not of dominance but of partnership. With that thought, Daniel turned and headed back inside, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Whatever the future held, he knew one thing for certain: they would face it together.